Hey everyone, welcome to Crazy Gamers Models. How's it going? This is going to be an update video of just what's going on because I just having a hard time putting a video together on any project. I got bits and pieces. My new studio here where I go do all my modeling it's bigger, but it's still just it's not organized the way I need it organized, and that bugs me not being organized. So I just gonna go over what I've been working on. The Yag Tiger still filling injection pin marks. I'm having some issues getting some stuff out. So I want to talk to you about that. I mentioned this in a previous video. It is a electric toothbrush with an interchangeable head. Currently, it has a 800 grit Tamiya sponge attached to it, but I went one step further and I got some extra heads here, and now I have some with Velcro attached to it that I can put hook and loop tape on here. Like, here's a piece of 800. I can just Velcro that 800 on there and do some sanding. I just get these dirt cheap sanding discs. Here's some 1200, here's some 320, and I just have a circle cutter here. And I unlock the circle cutter, line it up, pop out the circle, and then I got a piece of 320 to go on there. This one has the thing, but I found a half-inch punch on Amazon, dirt cheap, and I punched out the little Velcro circles that fit these heads. So I'm gonna put one on for you guys, show you what. Coming up with this has been tricky here. So stick my Velcro on there, then I can take my piece of sandpaper, put it on there like that. Then I can come over here, click it to my brush, and I have a sanding stick. Now, I want to show you how crazy this is in sanding. I don't know if I have a... But it's fantastic. If you need a large... Let's take, for example, on this, I have an injection pin mark here on the Yag Tiger. Just come in here like this. Boom. It's almost gone. There's just a little dip there for some Mr. Surfacer. Come over here to this one. And this is basically a cheap toothbrush. I mean, this toothbrush was nothing at Walmart. You just come in here, and it pulls the injection pin marks right out. You have to go slow because it will tend to melt the plastic if you don't go so. If you go too fast and too hard, and you can just clean it off on some jeans, and then it's freshly clean there, and you can just come in here real light. But too much, if you push too hard, you will start to melt the plastic. Just so you know. And it does have, this one has a pressure sensor on it that if you press too hard, it'll stop. So that's the reason I like this one the most. Because if you press too hard, it'll stop. So that is that. It took me a little bit to figure out a way to engineer that for these injection pins. But it has worked. I don't know if you remember on the Yag Tiger build, but there was a bunch of raised spots like there are on this side, and I was able to get them out, and it looks factory fresh on there, and I was able to get that out. I used a sanding sponge on the electric toothbrush on that, just double stick tape it. But they sell something like this for like $60. This couldn't have cost more than $20. There's no way I spent more than $20. Now, time, I spent like 3 hours punching out little Velcros and sandpaper. I did spend quite a bit of time punching that stuff out and ripping the bristles out of the toothbrush heads. That's basically a pair of pliers and you pull them out in individual chunks. But I got those. I'm gonna put different grits on them with Velcro, just some different grits so I can sand. It's a little fast. You can't really control the speed, but it does the job. And if you need, especially if you're turning down, like if you're taking out mold lines and stuff, like on the bullets of my Panther, they have a mold seam on them and a nib, and I put the 1,000 grit foam on the end of the toothbrush, and I can shine them up. They were taking me 5 minutes to clean up by hand. I can clean them up in less than a minute now. And there's 96 of those rounds of ammunition. So that would have taken forever by hand. Currently, right here, I have this Tempest Mark II High-Tech Special Hobby 132nd. I have been trying desperately to get an independent video of what's going on with this out separately, but I've now 5 times I've tried. I'm officially giving up on it. It's just going to be part of my update videos because I start to work on it and then I get pulled to the Panther or I get pulled to the Yag Tiger and then it gets put up and then I get it out. I do one thing, so I'm not able to do videos on it. But what I have so far is I'm going to put the decals. It's the high-tech version, so it comes with a bunch of resin, but it doesn't come with a lot of photo etch. It doesn't have like the photo etch cockpit or things like that. So I've painted the cockpit with Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. That's my go-to primer now. It shows me all the flaws and it goes on beautifully. I can brush it on or I can spray it on. This has been brushed on. I'll hit it with a gloss coat. I'll put the decals on and we'll see how that works out. I also have a piece I dropped back here somewhere. Oh, I must have picked it up. Where I've put the decals on the Berged Panther control panel, practicing putting individual dials on. And it's not as bad as I had anticipated it. I haven't done decals since my Warhammer AdMech days of putting markings around all their cloaks from custom-made decals that I had to hand cut out with an X-Acto knife because they weren't pre-cut, and it was nightmare. And I vowed I never wanted to do decals again. But this isn't as bad. These decals are nice. The NR decals that I've used so far seem nice. The Tacom decals seem nice. I'm real excited about these HGW wet transfer decals for that Spitfire. That the review went up a few days ago. I don't know if I should even continue with this train wreck of a 132nd Special Hobby Tempest Mark II and start on this diorama that this guy wants of these 4 planes. And we still haven't discussed whether he wants to paint them or not. So I don't know if he wants me to build up the cockpit and engine and send it to him. He paints it, and then I'll put them together the rest of the way. From what he explained to me is he hates putting things together. He loves painting, but he hates putting things together. So I think it's going to be a good arrangement. I get to, put some stuff on the channel, and I don't have to paint it. I just get to put it together, and that's my favorite thing to do. Apparently, he says we're waiting on some stuff for the BF 110. I don't know what that is. He didn't elaborate in the email on what that is. And I like to be surprised sometimes. So you guys will see that when it gets here. We haven't decided whether we're going to use a Tempest or a Mark or a Typhoon. I heard we have an Edward Typhoon kit that I reviewed earlier. It was actually going to be one of the choices for the 4 things I build. And I went ahead and I kept it. And I heard it's a bad kit if you use the details that are in it. But if you build it just as the Hasegawa kit, without all the extras and stuff, that it's not a bad kit. For a background plane or something on the ground in the background of this diorama, it may be an option for that. Or we'll use one of the Edarn Royal class Tempest. We'll have to see. Those personally are my aircraft, so we'd have to work out a negotiation on him getting one of those. I just reviewed a early version of a TACOM Panther that'll be up in the next few days. I'm a big fan of the Panthers. I will build a lot of them. I'm also going to do a couple King Tigers. It's all stuff that's going in my stash for when there's a lull. I'll go ahead and show you the update progress on the Panther late version. There's some of the engine, the Maybach engine. It's not all the way done yet. I have one of the dials done for the photo etch. I believe I showed this last time. I've worked on some of the ammunition to see how long it would take. I did pick some color schemes out, and I did put the transmission into the lower hull. So I did the gray on the transmission, and then I did the green on the control levers. So I have the green on the control levers, and then on the foot pedals, they need a second coat. But they do look scratched up and damaged, so I'll see about that. And then I have the little pedal to put down here soon. And then I have some paint to touch up where I glued it in. Now I don't know if you can see this finish on this. It is very not pristine, but it's not dirty. I haven't weathered this. I'm not sure what happened, but I sprayed Mr. Surfacer 1500 on it at about 60% thinner and 40% Surfacer 1500 black, and that seemed to leave a nice clean coat. But then I airbrushed the MIG colors, the Rotobron from my airbrush, almost straight. I did add about 1 part of Vallejo airbrush thinner to it because it just was a little thick, and I sprayed it, and I got a textureness on the model and like an orange peel. I don't know if you guys can see it in the video, but on the transmission, even with that in the different color, it has a orange peel effect to it. And let me show you these pieces. Now this part I'm brush painting. I'm going to not lie, I don't like it. But as you can see right here and over here, there's a texture to the surface, and I blew off all the dust. First I used a brush, and then I blew it off with air from the airbrush. But there's a texture on, and I don't know what that is and how that happened. I don't know if it's my spray distance with the MIG paint. It's drying before it reaches the model. So if you guys have any airbrush tips, I am not a very good painter or airbrusher. I'm still learning. I constantly watch videos. I don't understand how people are able to do airbrushing with no problems and then maintain their airbrush with no problems. I have issues with a dirty airbrush all the time. I take it apart, I clean it. My needle's always dirty. I take it apart after every session. I clean it with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. When I do spray the Mr. Surfacer 1500, switching to that as a primer, that I've had less problems cleaning my airbrush, but using Vallejo acrylics and now the MIG acrylics and spraying them, I seem to be having a lot of clogging issues and coverage issues in the way it's spraying and things like that. I have gotten this airbrush. It's a Iowa Neo, and it's a trigger pull. I'm hoping it's better on my hand because long sessions with the HTC airbrush it hurts my hands, and it's hard for me to get a good coat of primer on it. So I'm going to try this for my priming, and then use the other one, this one right here. This one right here for, this is the one I use for my normal airbrushing, and I've used this one for all my miniature painting, and I never had a problem with it with miniature painting. I would paint my, I would prime all my miniatures with Vallejo surface primer, and then I would just brush paint them, or like with my Adeptus Custodes, I would spray them with Retributor Gold from this airbrush, and never had a problem. I take it apart, I clean it, but it just doesn't spray. I don't know if my mixture of acrylic is, I'm not mixing the right amount of thinner to it. I try to get it to that milk consistency, but it just, the Vallejo surface primer sprays out of, I can spray that out of an airbrush beautifully, but when it comes to any other color that's not one of their surface primers, I have issues. And I even have to thin the surface primer, not by much. I have to add a little bit of thinner, and then I add a little bit of flow improver to stop tip drying. So I don't know if that's the proper technique to use or what. If someone has an airbrushing idea or a very highly in depth on how to airbrush correctly, because I've watched many videos and they give you tips and they point out, oh, do this, this, and this, but I don't seem to replicate the results. I would like to see something, okay, I put paint and thinner in the cup, and this is what it looked like when I sprayed it. Here's what's wrong with the way this looks, and here's how I would correct that. So instead of just, oh, I mixed it up and it sprays perfectly, show me what it looks like when it's mixed wrong and how to correct that. That's what I want to see. I want to see people that put stuff in the cup and it sprays bad, and then they show how they fix that, because that I can understand, and I can do that if I understand the way to go. Whether do I add more paint? Do I add an airbrush medium? I'm very frustrated. I'm very unhappy with this orange peel finish on here with this airbrush color. It looks weathered, and I'm gonna leave it, and it gives it a texture like steel should have. So I don't think it hurts the model, but when I get to painting something like an aircraft wing or something that's not going to be slightly weathered, I don't want to run into that issue again. And like I said, I primed everything first with Mr. Surfacer 1500, and the primer coat looked beautiful. And I even let the primer coat sit for like 3 or 4 days. Here's an example of one of the primer coats on a wheel. This is dusty now because this was primed a while ago, but I get all the dust off, and then I paint it, and I don't know. This was primed. This primed beautifully. Now I hope when I go to spray these with my camouflage color that I choose that yellow color that is in to match my book. I don't want them to get that orange peel effect. I mean, if they do get the orange peel effect, it would look, weathered and like there's corrosion underneath. But I want to make that effect myself. That's something I want to create with weathering. I don't want that to be a product of my bad airbrushing. And that is honestly, that has held me up on a lot of projects. It's got me pretty defeated, because it's like with this here, I taped this off and I brush painted it with this cream wise. It looks like garbage. I don't know why I thinned it. I'm just having some paint issues. And I would have wanted to just tape it off and spray it, the color, but with the airbrush issues, I thought it was going to look bad. And now I think it would look better bad from the airbrush. So if you guys can point me in a direction or help me out, I mean, I can build models. I built things my entire life, engineering new parts, prototype design, things like that. I can always figure out building things, but painting and airbrushing and things like that, I could plate the parts. Like, that's something I could do, but I can't plate plastic unless I put a metal finish on it. But this kind of painting, artistic stuff, I've never been the most artsy person. But I would like to learn. I'm a big fan of learning, and I would like to understand what I'm doing wrong and try to figure out how to fix it. So I know that was a bit of rant on my crappy airbrushing, and it's supposed to be more of an update of what's going on. But that's basically it. I've been stuck like this. I've been doing some reviews on some kits I've had in my stash just to get a video out because I've literally making no progress here. It's very defeating, and I'm trying to do the aircraft kit. I've got this painted. I'm going to put a gloss on this and put the decals on this and get started on this cockpit. I have a little bit of the interior done on this wing here. Some of the PE done. I immediately lost a piece. Second piece I went to put on, it popped out of my tweezers and I lost it. So, like I said, this aircraft is it's bringing me down. Let me tell you. But I don't give up on things. So it may not get done right away, but it'll get done. And I kind of wanted to mess around on the aircraft with seams and filling and things like that before I worked on any, others for this diorama. I mean, I have no problem with seams and things like that, but, simple things like losing pieces I shouldn't do, so I don't know. I don't normally lose pieces. I normally work over my mat, and I'm normally pretty good about it. And I don't work on carpet, so it's normally easy to find the piece. It's an open floor, so. And also, I'm going to do a tour of my new area where I'm next to my airbrush and my build area and my storage and my tools and my YouTube computer section and my little area where Kid Crazy builds his models. But I don't have it organized quite the way I want it organized for the tour yet. So when I get it organized in the next few days, I'm going to give you guys a tour of the new area, the two little tables I have set up, and the different stuff I have that I'm using to organize things. I'm sorry this was a rant, guys. This is going to be about it for this. Let's just look at this German Light Colors by MIG real quick. And we'll see about that color for these wheels. Okay. So here's what we have. We have Olive Grun, Residegrun, B. Ressengrun, Dunkelgalb, Ost 44 DG1, Dunkelgrab, Ost 44 DG3, and Rotobron. Well, Rotobron is the inside. So I think it's one of these Dunkel Lebs that I need to do for the exterior on the wheels. It says for the first one, for German vehicles in 1945, is darker than RAL 7028 DG3, Dunkelgrab 3, and less yellow than the RAL 70 mid-war. And then the DG3 applied to German vehicles in 1945. It is lighter than 1 and less yellow than the mid-war color. So I don't have the mid-war color. You get the mid-war kit. So we have these two colors here. This is the G1. This is the G3. Let's see what these look like on some plastic. Give me 1 second, guys. We're just going to get into something else here. Okay, you guys know what happens when I'm testing paint. the Berg Panther comes out. Here is the top hatch that I weathered extremely poorly. So we are going to paint over it with each one of these colors here. So I have this 44 DG3. So we're just gonna do it right now. Clear off my stuff here. Shake the paint. It's nice. These big paints have a shaker ball in it. I also have some German colors from Vallejo that we can take a look at in possibly another video. So let us get a large brush here. So I have a large Citadel base brush, and I am going to put a drop of, this is a custom made thinner that I add to brushing paint, that it's got matte medium in it, a little bit of flow improver, slight drying retarder, not very much drying retarder, very little, and alcohol. And it seems to help the paint spread. It worked great on my minis. I haven't really tested it with the MIG paints, but with Vallejo and Citadel paints, I got fantastic results. So this is the 3. See, this stuff just wants to, the surface tension wants to draw it together. I was hoping that flow improver and that thinner would break up that surface tension. If you guys brush MIG paints, you guys let me know if I got something I'm doing wrong here, because this is driving me crazy. So that is that one. And now I'm going to do the other one without my thinner. I'm not going to use any thinner on this and shake this up. And this is the other one. That out, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it. Mix it up here. And yes, I recycle bottle caps for this exact purpose here. See, and then it just wants to bead up. And that's a matte finish on top of this. This top. I coated it with Vallejo matte varnish. So I'm not sure why it wants to bead up like that. It's crazy. It even does it on its own paint. Like when I was brushing their paints onto their own paint, it was beading up and not settling down on that too. I don't understand it. Someone has any kind of thought process on this. This is why I'm testing it on the Berg Panther. Yeah, I'm at 28 minutes. I'm sorry, guys, but this is just going to go a little bit longer. I'm in a chatty rant mood with stuff not getting done. I'm just going to do some kind of progress here. So that's that. Now I just want to do something here on the Berg Panther. Let me get another section of it out. I am going to get this guy out here. Put him on my stand. Hold for this. Alright, so I got the top of the Berg Panther, which currently has a gloss coat over it. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to brush on some Mr. Surfacer 1200 on the side here. And I'm going to see what that paint looks like on the side. I'm going to Get this dirty Mr. Surfacer brush. I want to paint it on this panel right here. Just to give me a nice prime surface here. That's a nice prime surface. Okay, so we got that painted on there. We're going to let that dry. That won't take long. It is very hot in here. That will dry very quickly. Close that up. Now, I normally spray with Mr. Surfacer 1500 in the black, but that was within reach. Actually, the black was too. So that'll dry in a minute. While that's off drying, let us see about. Wow, this is just turning into something weird. Put another coat on here. This is what this stuff does. I just don't. I really just don't understand what I'm doing wrong here. I wish someone would please tell me what I am doing wrong, because if I take a Vallejo here, if I take from my Vallejo model color collection here, this is German camouflage. If I take this beige color, German beige World War II, and shake it up, and I put it a little bit in my dish, and I add some of my special sauce. And I come in here with this, I mix it up, and I take it to, well, this front end is shot here, so I'm just gonna, and you see how that just goes on beautifully. I mean, it's coating it just lovely, and this is over a gloss coat. I mean, this is been sprayed with gloss coat, and it doesn't have any surface tension or anything like that. And I just can't for the life of me figure out why the mid colors are giving me so much issues brush painting. Because they say right on them brush painting, but see, that already, first coat already looks better, and it's not a bad color. And these do say acrylic color brush and airbrush. They do have their own acrylic medium, and I don't know if that has an effect on it. I know that medium is alcohol based, so I'm not sure if that would help doing it. I mean, it still has brush strokes with the Vallejo, but the next coat that will come out. As you can see, this is still not even dry yet. Here is just not even drying. So as you can see, my issues. That was my surface primer dry. Okay, so my surface primer is dry here. So I want to go with another bottle cap out, and I'm going to take this one here, shake it up. I mean, maybe they're best sprayed. I understand that some paints are better sprayed, like Vallejo Air, but I mean, it says brush on it, and sometimes you just need to brush things. So if I go over here, See, it goes better over the surface primer straight, but it still has that surface tension area with brush strokes in it, and it's better. But what if you are not painting over primer? Do I have to, like for this, I sprayed this with their own paint, so now do I have to go in here with surface primer, put that down, and then brush on their paint to get a good coat? And this was straight, but I mean it's not full coverage. Maybe it doesn't have to be diluted. I'm having a difficult time with these MIG paints. I love the colors, and I like the spraying of them from the airbrush. I like how they spray from the airbrush. But the fact that the brush painting part is giving me issues, it's giving me pause on using the MIG paints and going back to the Vallejo, because I was really looking forward to this kit of tool colors here, using this on all the tools for all my tanks. And I was really excited about that. I had a video all ready to go on the Berg Panther tools, and I tried brush painting the tools and they looked horrible. It's just the paint didn't stick, and it just didn't look good. I primed them. I did use Vallejo's surface primer on those, so maybe it does depend on the primer. Maybe you do need a lacquer-based primer, as the Mr. Surfacer. See, going straight over the primer, see, that looks a lot better. But I don't know if I would do that for an outside of a tank. Maybe after an oil wash or whatnot on there, it would look better. So I'm going to pause for a minute and let this dry and see what else kind of mess we can get into. And then I'm going to wrap this video up in 1 second. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I have primed both of these side panels, and it's going to take too long for it to cure. I started to paint it, and it didn't turn out. I'm going to paint one half with the 3 and one half with the 1, and then we have that beige up front. And then we're going to see which one looks like the reference the most, and then we may do a little dot oil filtering on it to see which color we want for the outside. So this video started as a rant about crappy airbrushing, and then crappy brush painting, and then turned into something that worked out to where I'm picking a color. So, wow, this was some kind of video, guys. So, I'm sorry that it is so long and it is ranty and it turned out the way it did, but I needed to get my thoughts out there to reestablish what I was doing, because I was at a wall. But now that I heard it out loud and was able to share it with you guys, and hopefully you guys will share some ideas back, I feel like I'm going in a better direction by just putting this over primer. I wish I could put it over like paint, their own paint, but maybe someone can help me with that in the video, and maybe someone can give me some tips on a video to watch about the airbrush thinning and what to do when it looks bad, and like how to make adjustments on the fly and not just mix it perfect and spray it. So that's going to do it for this video. I am the Crazy Gamer, and you guys have a great day.